You ever watch a horror movie once and years later it just still keeps randomly popping into your head? Yeah, Ritual is one of those movies. It's not underrated, let's be honest. The people who've actually watched it usually agree it's great. The real problem is not that enough people have seen it, it's that it's one of those horror movies that should have a bigger reputation than it does. And it deserves more attention than half the demon possession shared universe stuff studios pump out every 6 months. And yes, I am talking about the Conjuring universe. So let's talk about why this movie actually stuck with me, why it works so well, and why it's one of the few modern horror films that's actually scary in a meaningful way. Right from the start, the ritual hits you with something heavy. Luke's guilt, the convenience store robbery, the split screen decision he didn't make, and the friend who died because of it. That's not just a plot device, it's emotional engine of the whole film. A lot of horror movies pretend to have deep themes but end up treating them like decorations. Here, the guilt is the story. Every nightmare, every hallucination, every moment of panic, it all goes back to that one traumatic event. The movie basically says you can hike across an entire country, but your guilt is still coming with you. That already puts it above 80% of the horror films today. I want to give this movie credit for something most films get embarrassingly wrong: the way men talk to each other. These guys are actually believable, not overly dramatic and not overly comedic, just real. You can feel the tension, they're grieving, they're blaming, and they're trying not to blame. They're trying to be supportive, but also trying to process their own trauma. Nothing feels forced. This adds so much weight to everything that happens later, because when the group slowly breaks down, it feels earned. This movie proves something that studios refuse to accept. Quiet is scarier than loud. Most modern horror is basically cue violent shrieks, demon jumps at the camera and repeat. But the ritual builds dread like an actual craft. There are long wide shots of the forest where you feel tiny. There's no music telling you how to feel. There's no cheap fake out choices. The fear doesn't come from a monster jumping out of a bush. It comes from the overwhelming sense that the forest is watching you. It's subtle, patient, and uncomfortable. That's how horror is supposed to feel. The movie takes place in Sweden's forests, and the location is just perfect. The forest is a character, maybe even the main character, I would say. You don't know where you are, you don't know how far you've walked. Everything looks the same, every path feels wrong. The environment wears the characters down before the creature ever does. Cold, wet, hungry, lost. That's the horror people forget about. Nature doesn't care about you. The forest doesn't need to attack you directly. It just exists, and that's terrifying enough. Every time the group stops to rest, something worse happens. The runes carved everywhere, the nightmares, the effigy in the attic, the sleepwalking. This is some of the most effective horror build-ups I've ever seen. The guys wake up shaken, confused, and completely exhausted. They don't even have the time to process one nightmare before the next day throws something new at them. That slow psychological breakdown is scarier than any monster reveal. Now let's talk about the best part of the movie, the creature. And no, I'm not going to say the name of the creature spelled like some IKEA furniture, but let's keep it simple. It's a Nordic forest god twisted into something very unholy. This thing is brilliant because the design is actually unique. We're not dealing with a ghost lady, a shadow demon, or a zombie. The creature is a hybrid nightmare, a massive elk-like body dangling human torso, long unnatural limbs, eyes where there shouldn't be, antlers that look like they're growing out of the monster that really wants to eat you alive. And you see that silhouette and you instantly know something is very, very wrong and you need to run. They show it sparingly, just enough to build fear, not enough to ruin it. That's the difference between a monster that sticks with you and a monster that becomes a meme. It's not some random creature, it actually ties directly into Norse myth and the cult that worships it. It feels ancient, it feels ritualistic, it feels believable. And I actually watched some YouTube video that mentioned that it might actually be one of Loki's sons, so that's actually pretty cool when you think about it. And when the cult appears, the movie takes a turn, but it works. A lot of films ruin the final act by over-explaining the supernatural. This one doesn't need to explain too much. You just understand enough. These people worship the creature because it gives them long life in exchange for loyalty and sacrifice. It's simple and that's all you need to know. And the thing is, the cult doesn't feel exaggerated. They feel like real people who've been shaped by the forest and by the fear of the monster. The convenience store hallucinations that blend into the forest are genius. The aisles appearing between the trees, fluorescent lights flickering in the darkness, the moment where the forest literally turns into the store, that imagery hits hard because it isn't random. It's Luke's mind cracking under guilt and PTSD. His trauma follows him everywhere, even into the middle of nowhere. This is psychological horror done correctly. Some people say the ending doesn't match the rest of the film. I disagree. Luke's escape isn't a big hero moment where he defeats the monster. He doesn't beat it. He doesn't need to. He just survives. The scream he unleashes at the creature isn't victory. It's closure. For the first time since the robbery, he chooses to fight back, not against the creature but against his own guilt. And the fact that the monster can't leave the forest is just perfect. Luke escapes physically but mentally he's changed forever. It's one of the most impactful horror endings in years. So yeah, The Ritual isn't some hidden gem nobody knows about. It's a great horror film that more people need to give a chance, especially in a genre that's been struggling with creativity. It has real characters, tension, atmosphere, and my favorite, a monster that looks unlike anything else. It's the rare horror movie where every part supports the story, instead of the story being an excuse for loud noises. If you want horror that crawls under your skin instead of screaming in your face, The Ritual is absolutely worth revisiting. I know I am going to revisit it, but then again, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, it's time for a goodbye.